It's kind of a symbolic expression of disapproval of the war in Iran. But it is important. It is historic. I think that the shifting is happening. The politicians are behind the public on this, but the public has overwhelmingly said no to the war in Iran. It's unauthorized. It's unconstitutional. It's, of course, unwise and just deeply, deeply, deeply unpopular. And now the politicians are finally catching up. Welcome to Independent Americans. Welcome to episode 541. I'm your host, Paul Rieckhoff. It is Thursday, June 4th, the day after Game 1 of the NBA Finals, where the Knicks defeated the San Antonio Spurs. And I'm coming to you from New York City, USA, the mecca of basketball, a very happy New York City. The weather is hot, but happy. Happy, because the Knicks are winning, summer is here, and we try to ignore politics when we can, but not on this show. Today's artist is someone who brought happiness to a lot of people. Every day I'm going to bring you a new artist that I share with my boys, and today's artist is the great Peabo Bryson, who has died this week at age 75, two-time Grammy Award-winning singer, songwriter, balladeer. You may know him from If You Are Ever in My Arms Again, of course, Can You Stop the Rain, and with Celine Dion, Beauty and the Beast, and Regina Belle, A Whole New World. He's a winner of 2 Grammys, but both were attributed to his iconic Disney duets. He was born as Robert Peabo Bryson in Greenville, South Carolina in 1951. He loved music from the time when he was young from his mother, who used to take him to concerts of well-known black artists at the time. But Peabo Bryson has passed. My condolences to his family and my thanks to him and his spirit for bringing so much happiness and joy and soul to this country and to many generations. And we're going to need it because I'm going to bring you the 5 eyes that I bring you in every single show: independence, integrity, information, inspiration, and of course, impact. No guest today. We had our interview yesterday with Mike Eisenhower in our latest Meet the Independent Candidate series. I hope you heard that or saw that. We did not have our traditional What the Fuck Wednesday, but today's Thursday. So what do we call Thursday? Thoughtful Thursday? Thankful Thursday? Trashy Thursday? Thirsty Thursday? Let me know. Thursday, as Chris said, maybe we should just be thankful that it is Thursday. It is Thursday. I'm going to take you through some of the news of the last couple of days and what's coming up, stuff you need to know about to help you on this thoughtful, thankful Thursday. Stay vigilant. Stay vigilant. All right, here is reason to be thankful today. The top topic is one that we have been hoping for, rooting for, pushing for, advocating for a long time. Today's top topic. The House has finally voted no on Iran and yes on Ukraine. Yes, 2 really important votes this week that may give us reason to be thankful, reason to be hopeful, both way shamefully overdue. First, let's talk about the War Powers Act, offered by Representative Gregory Meeks of New York, the top Democrat on the Foreign Affairs Committee. This was, abruptly pulled from the floor when too many Republicans were going to defeat it right before Memorial Day. But on Wednesday, it passed 215 to 208, with 4 Republicans joining the Democrats in voting yes. Props to those 4 patriotic, responsible Republicans, people with integrity who understand Congress is supposed to be the authority on wars. Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, Thomas Massie again of Kentucky, Tom Barrett of Michigan, and Warren Davidson of Ohio. If you don't know what this means, it directs Trump to remove U.S. armed forces from Iran unless Congress votes to declare war or authorizes the use of military force against it. It does not force him to end the conflict, however. It's kind of a symbolic expression of disapproval of the war in Iran. But it is important. It is historic. I think that the shifting is happening. The politicians are behind the public on this, but the public has overwhelmingly said no to the war in Iran. It's unauthorized. It's unconstitutional. It's, of course, unwise and just deeply, deeply, deeply unpopular. And now the politicians are finally catching up. And it gives us reason to be hopeful that America can get back to common sense and some degree of respecting the Constitution. More reason to be thankful and or good news. On day 1559 of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the House finally voted to support Ukraine. Again, 6 Republicans joined Democrats on Wednesday to push through a vote for military aid for Ukraine. It's a shot to Donald Trump's handling of the war against Russia and his withdrawal of U.S. support for Zelensky and Kyiv. The House voted 218 to 204, again authored by Gregory Meeks. It's going to provide $8 billion in military financing loans to Ukraine. It extends the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative through 2027, which allows America to send Ukraine weapons directly from our Pentagon stockpiles. Additional sanctions on Russia and other provisions. This is long overdue. And I will underscore that every time we send weapons to Ukraine, we are not sending American troops, and we are testing and refining our weapons, our tactics. And if you would have told Ronald Reagan that he could fight the Russians and take out hundreds of thousands of Russian personnel and military assets without losing a single American, he'd do it in a second. Representative Don Bacon, Republican from Nebraska, who's been a guest on this show, said the House just voted to move forward on discharge petition. The House will vote on final passage tomorrow. He said, this is our Churchill moment, and we must pass the test. He's right. I think Don Bacon has been making sense for a long time. He is a rare voice in this modern Republican Party. I hope he will come back on this show again soon. But these are undeniably the top topics. Congress has finally grown at least some kind of a spine and voted no on Iran and yes on support for Ukraine. It's a blow to Trump, it's a blow to Putin, and it's a blow in favor of democracy. And more reason why you can't give up the fight. You can't let the bastards get you down, and you must stay vigilant. All right, let's stay on Ukraine because what's happening over there is absolutely critical. Ukraine is on the offensive, but today is International Day of Innocent Children Victims of Aggression. That has to be a thing, and it is a thing. The International Day of Innocent Children Victims of Aggression, where we remember lives that were cut short, futures that were stolen, and the more than 700 children killed by Russia since the start of the full-scale invasion. As our friends at Ukraine.ua said, there will be no graduation day, no yearbook photos, no next chapter, no proms, as we celebrate the end of school here in America and soon in other parts of the country that haven't had it yet. We are having graduations, we are having proms, we are having celebrations, but 700 families will never have those days because of Putin. Anton Garashenko has been a voice for Ukraine and has also been calling out Marco Rubio, who is starting to make sense on Ukraine. I'm going to play a clip here to underscore that it seems like that Rubio is changing his tune. Trump isn't, Vance isn't, but Rubio is. Check out this clip.
Any doubt at this point in the minds of most observers around the world, and I would say in the minds of some inside of Russia, that the invasion of Ukraine has been a strategic disaster for them. They are not going to achieve the objectives they set out on day one for certain, and they may not even be able to militarily ever achieve the objectives they're demanding now in negotiations. I would also say that how we have viewed it is this war has no military solution. It has to have a negotiated settlement to it, and that's the role we've tried to play, and it's been a difficult role to play because, frankly, we're not an impartial mediator. We sanction Russia, and we are providing and have sold weapons through the Pearl program, which has remained unimpeded, to the Ukrainians. Unfortunately, those talks have stalled in recent months for a variety of reasons. The Ukrainians have actually made some battlefield gains in the last month as well. The Russians are losing 5,000, not injured, dying. In fact, it is the first conflict, according to the Department of War, it is one of the first conflicts ever in which the death rate is higher than the casualty rate on the Russian side. The first time ever that you have more deaths than casualties. So you're right, not only are the Ukrainians bravely fighting, they're effectively fighting.
So even Rubio is starting to admit that Ukraine is winning. Now, as I said last night on CNN with Aaron Burnett and others, I think it's in part because Rubio wants to be president. He recognizes that this is where the world is, this is where the country is, and he appreciates how vital, but most of all, how popular Ukraine is. I don't think Rubio's been a politician of leadership. I think he's been a politician of followership. But still, this week has seen the biggest, shamefully beyond overdue change in American political support from Republicans since the Russian invasion began. But it will not stop until Putin is gone. We must continue to focus on his removal, his destruction. We must call for him to be gone. Down with Putin, and especially today, Slava Ukraine. We want Ukrainians to know that J.D. Vance, Donald Trump do not speak for us when it comes to Ukraine. Most Americans support you and will support you until victory. Stay vigilant. All right, let's stay on the topic of war, because this week, an American soldier died in Iraq and nobody noticed. And unfortunately, tragically, sadly, it's below the radar. Yes, an American soldier died in Iraq, and most Americans didn't even notice. His name is Sergeant Devin A. Seibel. He was 26 years old and from Texas. He was killed in a training accident alongside a British soldier in Iraq, where I will remind you, we do have troops. As always, to help the loved ones of this sergeant and anyone who's killed in action, lost to accidents, burn pits, suicides, and especially the children that will deal with the impact for many decades to come, support the vital work of our friends at TAPS, Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. I always link to it in the show notes, but it's taps.org. For them, every day is Memorial Day. And it's another reason we all, collectively, no matter what your political affiliation, and of course, if you're an independent American, stay vigilant. Independent Americans, the 2026 primary races are taking shape, and you can trade on the biggest political races in America on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you can trade primaries, election outcomes, and the biggest political storylines as they happen. For example, you can now trade on who will be the next governor of California. Will it be Javier Becerra? Will it be Tom Steyer? Or will it be Republican Steve Hilton? Now, Becerra's in the lead, Steyer's in second, Hilton is in third. If you put $100 on Tom Steyer, who's got a 17% chance of winning right now, the max payout will be $553.09. So you can place your bets there. Let's talk about other stuff that you can bet on. Will, for example, Pete Hegseth be out as Secretary of Defense before July 1st? You can bet on that on Kalshi right now. If you vote yes, that he will be out before July 1st, and you bet $100, you could win $2,033.27. I don't think he'll be out by July 1st, but I do think he'll be out by the fall. All right, you can also, as I talked about last time, vote on whether or not the traffic at the Strait of Hormuz will return to normal. $100 bet there, if saying it'll happen before June 15th, would pay out $598.37. And let's talk about another one that I think is very interesting that I told you to watch. Will Trump attend a NBA Finals game? This has changed dramatically. Now it looks like he's going to attend, but if you vote no and you bet $100 and you win, you will make $1,174.30. And here's another one. Will Kash Patel be out as FBI director before August 1st? I think yes. It says there's only a 22% chance, but if you vote yes, if you bet yes and put $100 down, you could win 409 cents. That's how much you could win. Look, on Kalshi, you're trading against your peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. And that changes a lot in politics. But if you listen to the show, you will stay ahead of it, and you will focus on not just what's happening now, but what's happening next. And for a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use the code INDEPENDENT to get $10 when you trade 10. That's Kalshi, Kalshi. You can trade on anything. 18 and older, restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ for those mentioned. For more information, see Kalshi.com/regulatory. Independent Americans, place your bets on what happens next on Kalshi. All right, so our soldiers and Marines and airmen and all of them have been honorable. They continue to serve honorably, no matter what the politicians tell them to do. Let's talk about the opposite of honorable. If you haven't heard this story, it's going to make you really mad. If you're not angry, you're not paying attention, because the Pentagon has hired a convicted January 6th rioter for a sensitive counterterrorism job. The Trump administration has appointed Elias Irizarry, who was 19 at the time of the Capitol attack, and it has rightfully alarmed some in the Defense Department. This was a guy who broke into the Capitol and was in the Capitol, was arrested in the Capitol. Tara Kopp and Salvatore Rizzo at the Washington Post had the story. This is really, really terrible. He's assigned to the office's Irregular Warfare and Counterterrorism section. Maybe because he understands irregular warfare and terrorism, because he's a domestic terrorist, so he shouldn't work at the Pentagon. They said two people characterized the work as among the most delicate that the Pentagon performs. All positions, they said, require a top secret security clearance. Irizarry has not responded to requests for comment. Great. And typical and unacceptable. We need to shine a light on it. We need to bring pressure on it. The people in the Pentagon need to know that the people they're working alongside of have integrity and can be trusted to do things like honor and respect the independence of our government and not try to overthrow it and storm the Capitol. That would be a nice low bar standard, right? Until that happens on this thankful Thursday, thrashy, whatever, our enemies are celebrating.
Our enemies are celebrating.
We haven't focused on it enough on this show, but a reminder that ICE continues to run rampant all across America. There's so much other shit on fire that I think the pressure has come off of ICE, but don't believe the government, believe your eyes. They're still the group that gassed people in Portland and busted into houses without warrants. If you're tracking on something related to ICE that you want me to cover on this show, hit me up on social media, on any of the platforms. Send me a note or post it in YouTube in the comment section and let us know. Related to something that's not getting enough attention, where is Tulsi Gabbard? Now, we know that she has recently announced she's leaving the Director of National Intelligence position to care for her husband, Abraham, who is suffering from health issues. But Tulsi Gabbard is somebody who's posted and talked in the public for decades now. Like nothing has been secret or quiet. And now she's notably quiet as we continue to hear about what's unfolding in Iran, a regime change war, something that she's opposed for a long, long time. Now her replacement has absolutely no intelligence experience. Watch this space. But I think it's interesting and important to ask, where is Tulsi? Why hasn't she done any interviews? Is she still loyal to Donald Trump? Is she still a Republican? You may remember she was a Democrat. Then I think she was kind of an independent. Then she was all in on MAGA. Now she's leaving MAGA. If there's one member of this administration that might turn on Trump from the inside, Tulsi Gabbard might be it. Watch this space and stay vigilant. All right, the war in Ukraine wages. Ebola continues to break out across Africa. We have the World Cup coming here in just about 7 days. It'll be starting, which will have its own share of domestic terrorism threats. And meanwhile, Trump is waging war against the free press, and his takedown of the media continues. This happened over the last couple of days, and I haven't focused on it, but I need to now. If you haven't seen, 60 Minutes is dead. CBS News has fired Scott Pelley, the longtime anchor of 60 Minutes and the former anchor of CBS Evening News. He's in a battle with Bari Weiss and Nick Bilton, the tech journalist who's been hired to take over 60 Minutes. Now there is word that they might be hiring Joe Rogan, which would, I think, be an interesting move for ratings, but definitely not for the integrity of the institution that is 60 Minutes. But here's the takeaway. Trump's war in the media has scored its latest big victory. It's a big one. And democracy has a new major loss. 60 Minutes has been eliminated. And now, 60 Minutes can't ask tough questions, can't tell vital stories, and can't hold Trump and others accountable. Just like Trump and his minions want it. Scott Pelley has led the charge at 60 Minutes for decades, and he's been to war zones bravely to show the ground truth. I know that because he embedded with my platoon in Iraq back in 2003. I tried to find the video. Maybe I'll look on ChatGPT a little bit longer and try to find it. But the 60 Minutes 2 then crew came with me and my platoon, walked out on patrol with us in Baghdad in 2003. And in my experience, Scott Pelley is a journalist of integrity. In every crisis, though, there is opportunity. 60 Minutes might be dead, but Scott Pelley is not. And I look forward to seeing Scott Pelley in his next chapter, unencumbered. Like Stephen Colbert, shout out to Stephen Colbert, who I hope is chilling on a beach in South Carolina, growing a beard and thinking about running as an independent for Senate in South Carolina, wearing a shirt today. But shout out to Colbert, because like Colbert, with the exploding potential of independent media, what's next for Pelley could be bigger and even more powerful than 60 Minutes ever was. And that's what all truly patriotic Americans should be rooting for. Stay vigilant. All right. Meanwhile, here's a reason to call today Trashy Thursday or Thrashy Thursday. Trump's attitude and his combativeness and his threats of violence are contagious. And it's been a pretty fiery week of cabinet secretary testimony in Washington, D.C., including this clip with Senator Tom Tillis and Secretary Besson, who has been the most loyal, the most shameful, the most consistent defender of Trump, just absolutely shamelessly. And they asked him about the new person that Trump has named to lead DNI, Mr. Pulte. And here is that exchange.
Did you actually tell Pulte you were going to punch him in the face?
No, sir. I actually said I was going to kick his ass.
Good. Okay. Good. I share the emotion. Thank you.
And as I said, that was last summer, summer 25, and many teams have fights in the locker room and then go out and win for the team on the field.
Another great day in Washington, folks. This is the kind of conversations that are happening inside our Capitol. As I, again, said on CNN last night, there's a lot of wannabe tough guys in Washington. If they're so tough and they want to fight and they want to punch and they want to slam each other, you know what? There's an octagon outside the White House. They built it. It's there now. It's ready. Go ahead out there. Please keep your shirts on. Don't do the Kennedy thing or the Graham Platner thing. More on him in a second. But there's an octagon out there. There's a cage. Go on and out there and go ahead and punch the shit out of each other. And let's sell it on YouTube and raise money for veterans charities or for the families of the 13 troops that were killed in Iran. The tone is dangerous. It is shameful. It is beneath America, and it's something we all have to try to tackle. There is no room for violence, and especially threats of violence, given especially the expansion of political violence we've seen across the spectrum in the last couple of weeks. More on UFC coming up, but stay vigilant. All right, I've said that veterans could lead the way, and veterans issues in particular. I've also talked a lot about how the Republicans and Democrats are lost. That's why I hear from more and more people, especially veterans, who are leaving both the Democratic and Republican Party. I'm hearing from many more after this week's primary elections, especially in places like New Jersey and as New York is coming up, where there will be another closed primary. But as of right now, the votes are still being counted in the California governor's race. Republican Steve Hilton, the former Fox News host, is in the top two with Javier Becerra. Tom Steyer is in the mix, but Becerra's rise has surprised many. He jumped ahead of the other Democrats, even though a lot of folks called him boring. This is one of the many things you can bet on Kalshi. And you've been hearing about the things I'm encouraging you to check out, because if you think you know what's going to happen, you can bet on Kalshi, and I'll be talking about more there. Unfortunately, in the other race, we were watching in California, California's 23rd congressional district. The results are in, and we were watching Karen Matthews, the independent Navy veteran and doctor who put up a good fight there. She came in fourth. Jay Abernolty, the incumbent Republican, got 58 and change. Tessa Lynn Hodge, the Democrat, got 18.7. Pat Wallace, another Democrat, got 14.2. And then Karen Lee Matthews coming in fourth at 4.1, then a Democrat behind her and an independent behind her. That's out of 83,000 votes. But an honorable, important campaign with integrity by Karen. I sent her a note to tell her that I am proud of the campaign that she ran. She's moving forward the ball for our movement, and we should celebrate that every single day. I hope that Karen runs for statewide office. The 23rd district in California might not have understood and appreciated her leadership, but we will. Watch the independent space, folks. There are more primaries coming up. We will continue to bring you independent veteran candidates and highlight the challenges that they face in places like California and across the board. It was an open primary, and millions of independent Americans voted. We will find out in the days to come exactly how many. Stay vigilant.
Stay vigilant. Stay vigilant.
All right. Meanwhile, the Democrats. Let's talk about the Democrats for a second. The Democrats have a Graham Platner problem. As you probably know by now, Graham Platner is the upstart, first-time candidate who is running in Maine as a Democrat to unseat Republican incumbent Susan Collins. He has continued to have bad news stories. I'm going to get to more on that in a second. I've also invited him on this show, and I've heard he might accept. Stay tuned. I don't know if that's going to continue given the news that's breaking, but I've welcomed Mr. Graham Platner on this show, especially as a veteran myself. I think we can have a fair and honest and truthful conversation, the kind of which he hasn't had with too many veterans, but I welcome him on this show. In the meantime, I want to talk about the Democrats' response, because I think what they're doing here underscores why people hate the Democrats. I've said beyond the issues that Graham Platner's having, he's going to have to overcome a very unpopular Democratic brand. Unpopular because of people like Chuck Schumer. Play the clip, please, Chris.
Right here, this young man.
On Graham Platner, are you satisfied with the explanations he's given for the controversies his campaign has faced right now? Are you concerned about going forward?
I met with Graham Platner today. We're going to beat Susan Collins and take back the Senate.
Are you?
So you're saying that Dana Mill is your preferred candidate. There's been rattlings that she should get back in. You're standing behind Graham Platner, to be clear here?
We're going to beat Susan
With
Collins
Graham Platner.
and take back the Senate.
With Platner?
Yes.
Does Democrats sticking behind Graham Platner, does that hurt their credibility in attacking Ken Paxton?
We're going to beat Susan Collins and take back the Senate. Any other subject you got? Any other subject?
So watching the Democrats dance and dodge on Platner is like watching Biden 2.0. When you saw Biden having problems and Democrats said nothing to see here. Platner is dragging down an already unpopular Democratic Party brand. But their weak and spineless responses are hurting it even more. This kind of response is why the Democrats are viewed as weak and less popular than Trump in many states. The Democrats will not save you, America. When will you learn? Cue the political ideologues. And of course, Mr. Bernie Sanders. Play that clip, please, Chris.
Is that the wealthiest people in this country have now reserved close to $100 million in TV ads in a small state like Maine. So what are the billionaires worried about? Why are they spending so much money trying to defeat this guy? And the answer is that he's going to stand up to the oligarchs.
All right. This ain't going to work or help him. Sanders has always put people who support his socialist ideology ahead of political reality. This sounds a lot like when he defended VA Secretary Eric Shinseki back in those days, when Shinseki continued to have bad news stories. And he served as an apologist because he framed all the criticisms on Shinseki as an attack on VA healthcare. Shinseki went down hard, and Platner might do too. And vets will pay a price, and so will Democrats, because they will not save America. Sorry, people. People just don't trust the Dems either. They feel they're too out of touch and too far to the left. Sanders and others want a democratic socialist movement tough guy so bad that they're willing to accept Platner with all his problems and the Nazi tattoos and the awful and hateful public statements that are now out there for everyone to see. And that's a losing plan, especially when independents who think they're all too far left to begin with don't trust any of it. Now, Jeremy Fasser over at the New York Times posted something on X that I wanted to note. He said, one thing for the Democrats to be weary of, if Platner leaves the ticket, there's no guarantee the replacement defeats Collins. Of the 3 times candidates have been swapped, since the year 2000. Only one has won, former Senator Frank Lautenberg in New Jersey in 2002. And he continues, funnily enough, every swap out has been a former senator. Walter Mondale after Paul Wellstone died in 2002, Lautenberg after Bob Torricelli stepped down, and Evan Bayh replacing Baron Hill in 2016. I think the Democrats know this, and that's why they're hanging on to Platner so desperately, despite all the issues. They'll likely both go down over it, and Collins will survive yet again. But it also might open up an even bigger path for an independent veteran. If, for example, Marine Corps veteran Jared Golden, former Democratic congressman from the state of Maine, left the Democratic Party and ran unaffiliated, that opening for an independent is there even if Platner stays in, and is widening by the day, especially since it's Maine, a subject we have covered a lot on this show. We've had Senator Angus King and others on here, and it's a reason for us all to keep track on. Now, here's the latest on Platner. There's been a lot of coverage that there might be more bad stuff coming out. I don't know if there is. I don't know if there isn't. But there is a new New York Times story that many were anticipating. And the headline reads, several women who dated Graham Platner recall unsettling behavior. The Democrat senator from Maine could be charming, women said in interviews, but some found his actions intimidating and disturbing. It's a very lengthy article that talks about his checkered dating history. There are no allegations of crime. There are no substantive allegations of assault or anything like that. They said he was not a good boyfriend at times. And they talk about some alleged quotes that he had. One woman said that he grabbed her arm when she was getting out of a car. Another woman said that he tried to stop her from leaving a room. I think we're going to find out what of that is true. But here's the thing that I think is most important. There's a big section about his tattoo that is a Totenkopf tattoo. It is a Nazi tattoo. Everybody who is educated or aware of these issues knows that it's a Nazi tattoo. And there's a part that I'll read from the New York Times piece. Last fall, a few months after announcing his campaign, Mr. Platner said he had learned from news media inquiries that the tattoo on his chest was widely recognized as a Nazi symbol, and he moved to cover it. Mr. Platner said he had not known what the image was, other than a terrifying-looking skull and crossbones on the wall of a tattoo parlor in Croatia, where he and other Marines. He said, it was not until I started hearing from reporters and DC insiders that I realized that this tattoo resembled a Nazi symbol. He said, I would absolutely not have gone through my life having this on my chest if I knew that, and to insinuate that I did is disgusting. Now, one of the folks that he dated, Miss Fifield, called that a lie. She said that Platner knew when they were dating years ago that tattoo was a Nazi symbol, and he called it, quote, my Totenkopf. I would never have known what that tattoo, I would never have known what that was, she said. He would joke about it being a Nazi tattoo. Miss Fifield said that he told her that he and other members of his unit selected the tattoo because, quote, they were like a death unit, they were killers, and they saw a parallel between their unit and the Nazi Schutzstaffel, or the SS unit that used the skull and crossbones. Quote, they literally deliberately selected it because it was relevant to their military unit. Mr. Platner strongly disputes Miss Fifield's accounts of what they knew about the tattoo and what he told her. His campaign noted that he had not hidden his tattoo since receiving it, taking his shirt off in photos at the beach and the gym. I want to talk to him about this tattoo thing, because I know plenty of people with stupid tattoos. But if you have a Totenkopf on your chest for decades, you have no Jewish friends, you have no friends who understand Nazi history, you have no educated friends, nobody told you this was a Totenkopf for over a decade, that doesn't wash with me. And that's my biggest problem. I don't think you can have a senator who used to have a Totenkopf and said he doesn't know it. This is one of the many things I welcome him to come on the show to talk about. But this is the one that's a deal breaker for me. I don't think in a time where anti-Semitism is at an all-time high, I don't think at a time when we're battling to fight fascism around the globe, that we can have a senator who used to have a Totenkopf on his chest and didn't know it. If he had it and he knew it, it should be disqualifying. If he didn't know it was a Totenkopf and he had it on his chest for a couple decades, that should be disqualifying too. And that's the bottom line. I don't think that people in Maine are stupid. I've been there a lot. I've spent a lot of time in Maine in my life, and I don't think that they're willing to accept that or the hateful comments or the continued changing stories. I think it comes down to honesty. People want integrity. People want honesty. They want someone they can trust. We'll see if that includes Graham Platner. I had a lot to say about it. I had to get it out there. We will have more. Watch this space and stay vigilant. All right. Let's talk about sports, and then we'll wrap up in a second here. I've been telling you that it's not going to stop, that the intersection of sports and Trump is not going to stop. And the UFC event is getting very, very political. And there's a guy named Bryce Mitchell that is a voice you need to know, and you will definitely hear more from, and more on him in a second. But UFC fighter Sean Strickland says he's been banned from the UFC event for speaking out and criticizing Israel. Strickland has called it UFC 250 Israel edition. And the UFC debacle is going about as well for Trump as the Iran war. And like the war, it's not over and it's not getting better. Here's Strickland in his own words. Check this out.
Well, you guys, I'm not surprised, but I got the call. I got the call. The UFC higher-ups called me, big names. And they said, Sean, I got to apologize, but you're not Israeli enough to go to UFC 250 Israel edition. The White House didn't clear you. And I'm not really surprised, I'm not really surprised. So, I think moving forward, I would like to just apologize to Israel.
Now, again, the UFC thing has become increasingly unpopular. It's become a debacle. It goes sideways like everything that Trump has to say. And this hits in a core demographic for him, a group of people that many voted for him and feel like he's lied to them about regime change wars and bringing down prices. And there's a fighter named Bryce Mitchell who's had some questionable comments about the Holocaust and other stuff that is smartly, I think, at least in this clip, sounding out about it. But like everything he does, it goes sideways for Trump. And Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell is a voice that you will hear from now and you will hear more from in the days to come. Check out this clip.
And when you're doing all of this stuff, hosting sporting events, it's really outside of what the goal of the government was intended to be, because our tax dollars and resources are funding this operation. And like I said, I'm not criticizing the UFC. I love Dana, I love Hunter, I love Sean, Mick. I love all of them, and it's an amazing thing. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But the government should never be hosting sporting events because there's more room for corruption, and we already have a corrupted government. And so that's my thoughts on it, is that the government is supposed to protect us, not entertain us.
So that's going viral, and I think it underscores what people are concerned about, in particular the corruption. And Israel's popularity is going down fast because everything that Trump touches suffers. And that includes Israel right now. It includes UFC, and it could include basketball, because the intersection of basketball and politics is going to be another area to watch. The game ended last night. It was spectacular. It was amazing. And then we in New York City had to watch this shit play.
New York, we know anything's possible with a great team.
I'm Brad Lander, and I'll block billionaires from buying our elections.
I'm Maria Elisa Avila Chevalier, and I'll defend New York by abolishing ICE.
I'm Claire Valdez, and I'll stand up against bad landlords and greedy corporations.
Get out and vote. This is the team.
Yep, that was an ad from Zoran Mamdani and Brad Lander and a number of other Democratic Socialist candidates that aired right after the game ended. Yep. Smart politically, but very, very annoying and a bit corny. Watch this space. We'll see what happens there. Also in sports, some good stuff. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup. The Golden Knights of Las Vegas have beaten the Hurricanes 5-4. Game 2 is tonight. And finally, let's get down to my something good.
Something good. Oh, something sweet. Feel the fire.
You know where I'm going. The NBA Finals. The NBA Finals lived up to the hype. Game 1 was exciting. It was captivating. There were no politicians there that I could see. And the Knicks won. Jalen Brunson, just a masterful performance, guts, tenacity. This whole team. Now you understand why we in New York are so excited about this team. We're so proud of this team. The grittiness, the teamwork, the execution. They're down for each other, like people of New York, and they're rising to the moment. And the energy in this city right now is off the charts. And the energy in the city can lift the team up when they need it. It was a gutsy win, and nobody is tougher or more clutch than Jalen Brunson. And we're so proud of this team that always finds a way to win and grind it out. Cat, Mitchell, Alvarado, Hart, Bridges, they're just all together, and they are New York City. And the unity and positivity in this city is off the charts. And the thing I want to share that I think is something good is we really needed and deserve this more than most of us realize. And I hope that that moment is coming for America. Maybe it'll come in the World Cup. Maybe it'll come around the parts of America 250 that don't get contaminated by Trump. But we really need and deserve something to root for together. At least in New York, it's the Knicks. And in America, I hope it's coming soon. But it gives us a reason to be hopeful, a reason to be thankful on this Thursday, and of course, a reason to stay vigilant. All right, yesterday I was on for my weekly on News Nation and CNN. Thank you to all of you who are tuning in. If you haven't checked our YouTube page, please go there now and hit that subscribe button. Help us bring this message and these issues forward. We're often the only ones that are covering Ukraine every day or covering the American troops that die in combat. We're continuing to focus on independent candidates. If you care about those things, go to YouTube, go to our Patreon page, and throw us a couple bucks and help us keep it going. We are daily now. You can subscribe. You can get the IA merch on our page at independentamericans.us. You can also subscribe for the Morning Independent and know that we are divided in America, but we are thankful that we're able to bring people together to change that. If you're among the 45% and growing by the day of independents that are out there, this is your show, Country Over Party, People Over Politics, Light Over Heat. And our movement is growing in the hope of our democracy, the oxygen of our democracy. If you enjoyed this episode of me talking about a lot of shit today, please share it far and wide and invite others to declare their independence. We got more great guests coming up, and including an invitation that's out to Graham Platner. We're also going to talk to Sebastian Younger, our old friend from this show that actually sat down with Graham Platner at a restaurant in New York. I hope he'll join us soon to share more about that. We've got Henry Rollins coming back. I hope we have Senator Angus King, Congressman Don Bacon, and others. But stay vigilant, my friends, because eternal vigilance, it's the price of freedom, and it's a price we got to pay. And no, you're not alone in your vigilance. We're all vigilant. We're all in this together. I'm your host, Paul Rieckhoff. Thank you for tuning in to this special Thursday Independent Americans. Tell me what you think we should call it. But I will see you tomorrow with a special episode. I'm going to take a bit of the day off and get you a special media summary episode, so look forward to that. And a quick pop over the weekend. But my kids have no school tomorrow. The Knicks are playing tomorrow night, and I'm going to give you a special episode so I can take a break. But I will see you again soon. Happy Thursday. Stay vigilant, America. And let's go Knicks. Let's go Knicks.
Archipelago, he tells me the left and right are dreams for those without a clue. And when you wake, it's time to grow. And it's not cool to believe in school, but if I can say one thing, I've seen the children of the revolution and the good trouble they can bring. He says the red and blue are dead and independent is an attitude. An island in the sea of rhetoric and archipelago, he tells me the left and right are dreams for those without a clue. And when you wait, it's time to grow.
Powered by Righteous Media.